Hello and welcome to the Electrical Times podcast. We're here today to discuss research recently commissioned by Draper Tools as part of the launch of the DX Pulse range of 12-volt cordless and brushless motor power tools. Here to discuss this with us is Sarah Hartland, Head of Marketing at Draper Tools. Sarah, welcome to the show. How are you?
Yes, I'm well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So the research that we're here to discuss is that they found that 61% of young people now see the trades as a cool job. For decades, the industry struggled with an image problem, obviously been seen as some would say a plan B, for those that didn't go to university, perhaps. What do you think has caused? I mean, it's quite a massive cultural flip. I mean, is it social media influences? Is it the earning potential finally being noticed, or is it something else, or a combination?
Yeah, I think it's both. I think social media and earning potential has caused that sort of generational shift. From our research, over half said that their perception of trade careers is more positive than it was 5 years ago. And actually, I think social media plays a massive part in that. So 45% said that social influencers and TV shows have made the trade more appealing. And I think it's so easier than ever before to open your screen and to see a day in the life of an electrician. And there's this big community of electrical apprentices and more experienced sparkies, men and women that are showing an insight into their day. And I just think that it equips young people with so much more information. So, for example, like when I was looking to go to university, I didn't have that. So they can make better informed decisions. And I just think for me that flexibility is a big part here. So the sort of 9 to 5 culture behind a desk, it just isn't as appealing. And young people really do care about that work-life balance, and they want to make their time go harder and further, and their money as well. So, I don't know whether it's just my social media algorithm, but there's that whole theme around work to live, not live to work, right? And so I just think they're quite smart and savvy to that. When you look at earning potential, university debt, it's constantly making headlines. Even myself, I have left university, although many years ago, and I won't tell you how many years, but I've come out with university debt. And so I just think who really wants, 30,000, £100,000 worth of debt when they're young? And so starting off earlier and starting your career kind of debt free or minimal debt, that's a good thing, right?
Absolutely. And not to mention you're learning a skill that you can use outside of work as well, at home and
Yeah,
elsewhere.
absolutely. Yes.
I mean, one of the most fascinating stats in the report was that a third of young people are considering the trades because they're worried about AI taking office
Mhm.
jobs. I think Elon Musk, I was reading recently, has said, kind of computer-based work is going to be the first to go. I mean, we'll, take that as you will. But as a marketing leader, sort of,
Mhm.
100 in a 100-year-old company, a 100-plus-year-old company,
Yes.
do you think the physicality of electrical work is now its greatest selling point in what has become a digital world?
Yeah, AI blows my mind, like the capabilities of it. And even last night, I was at an event and I was networking, and everybody that I spoke to, I asked them, do you use AI in your role? And we're talking about all walks of life, all different industries coming together. And every single person said that they did. And, we have just started to use it at Draper. It's still very early days, but we're already seeing it as a really beneficial tool. And I guess the bottom line is that without electricity, there is no digital sort of AI revolution. There is no social media, there is no technology. So electricians are absolutely essential to the future. And it is a shame that there are some entry level jobs that are being lost to AI. And so I really do understand why the research that we did showed that some young people think that AI will negatively impact their future. But we have a critical skills shortage within the industry. and electricians are in demand. They're needed. And so I just would like urge people to lean into AI. Like, don't be afraid of it. And maybe I'm kind of giving myself advice here, right? Because it's a whole new world. But maybe there is an AI tool that can help speed up an electrical fault diagnosis, for example. Maybe it can speed up part of an installation or a rewire, but just try and use it to your advantage. And what was really funny recently is I did use AI. I used our dear friend Claude, and I wanted a catalogue front cover for Draper Tools, and I just wanted to see what it would spit out and see what it would do. And it gave me a front cover, and okay, there was a few things wrong with it. The logo wasn't quite right, but actually, when you really drilled into it, there was a paintbrush with two handles. So, there's always going to need to be a human element, and you have to check kind of what AI does give you.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head when you sort of said AI. You referred to AI as a tool. I think
Yeah.
there's no ignoring it. I think
No.
you do have to lean into it and use it as such. At the same time, I don't think we're certainly not at a place yet where it's going to kind of replace everybody. I mean, I get kind of some of the entry level stuff, but
But it's here to stay, right?
it
And
is.
that's it's about trying to be ahead of the curve and learning it and move with the times. So I
Yeah,
wouldn't be afraid of it, but I would understand it and see how you can help use it to your potential.
that's it. It will speed you up. It will allow you to do more, allow you to be more productive, and I
Yeah,
think that's what we really
that's what it's
want.
about, right?
It is.
Time is money.
So, I mean, just to move on a little bit, I obviously wanted to ask about how you're changing the way a heritage brands like Draper talks to
Yeah.
a generation that has grown up on social media. I mean, obviously, as I mentioned, Joe, over a century old.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, is there kind of, you know, I guess, do you try and make yourself seem cool, or I mean, how do you market to the younger generation?
Yeah, I mean, it's important to us that we reach people at every stage of their career. So I would say that it's not necessarily changing the way we talk, but I would say it's more about making sure that you're communicating in the right channels. So whether that might be a trade publication or maybe that is in-store communication, maybe even TikTok. So when I started at Draper, TikTok wasn't around. It was all about Facebook and it was about Instagram. So it's about learning to adapt and then just moving with the times. And I think how marketing has changed for us is we want feedback from young people, right? It's so important. And a couple of years ago, I was involved in launching a brand called XP1000. Now, XP1000 is a range of VDE pliers and screwdrivers. And what we did is before we launched, we actually reached out to quite a few electrical apprentices and trainee electricians. And we said, what do you think? Like, do you like it? Do you not like it? Like, be honest, because we need honest feedback. And actually, having young people involved in the conversation was great. And that back then was a new approach for us. It's not something we really did. And it worked well. And so it's something that we continue to take forward. So, I mean, to answer your question, I would just say that it's about staying consistent. And as long as your tone is chatty and it's friendly and it's topical, and just make sure you're communicating in the right channels, then I don't think you really need to talk to people too differently.
Excellent. And I mean, obviously, so speaking to younger people, obviously, you've recently launched the DX Pulse range at Draper
Yes.
Tools, which I think is am I right in thinking it's aimed at kind of, I guess, newer tradespeople, that kind of the younger generation. Is
Yeah,
that right?
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, so we spotted a gap in the market where, like, over a quarter of people told us that there was a real need for quality tools but affordable. And I think we know this, right? There are some brands out there doing exceptionally well, but they come with that really hefty price tag. And who has £500 to spend on a drill when they first start out? That's a lot of money. So I guess when we were looking at DX Pulse, we knew that cost was a real concern for apprentices starting out. And we knew that they really demanded, performance and power on the job every single day. And I guess those two things were really the driving force behind DX Pulse. And for example, you can, with DX Pulse, you can buy a machine and a battery, and it's an interchangeable battery, and you can buy it from £85 or from as little as £85. So, that's affordable. And so what we've done is we've designed a range that looks good, looks great on site. It has a brushless motor. Therefore, it really does provide that sort of longer runtime that the trade demand, and that sort of enhanced performance. So yeah, DX Pulse is just an affordable but powerful range of tools.
So, I mean, kind of leading into that, the research that Draper Tools completed, it says that affordability and smart tech are obviously key for apprentices. How do the tool manufacturers such as yourself balance that need for the high spec professional gear with obviously the fact that obviously they don't have that much money to spend? Obviously, you mentioned £500 on a drill set.
Yeah.
How have you found that balance? Obviously, you have with DX Pulse, but how did that come about?
Yeah, I mean, it's really important that we don't compromise on quality. And so when we were developing the range, we knew that we couldn't compromise, but we also knew we needed to find that kind of sweet spot, that price point that makes someone go, that's going to help me do my job effectively. And with the research that we did that showed the gap in the market for apprentices, there's not really too much around for them that's targeted at them. And we work very closely with a lot of colleges, a lot of schools, and a lot of universities. And the market was kind of crying out for something that just looked good but was reliable. So we work with a lot of colleges, a lot of universities, and we speak to the students a lot, and we spotted that gap in the market. And so DX Pulse, I'm really proud of. I think from everybody at Draper, from the buying team to the marketing team, the creative team, it's a power tool brand that we can be proud of.
Finally, obviously, the survey shows that 55% of Gen Z believe a trade is better for mental health than a desk job. Draper's been obviously a big supporter of charities like Ben, the automotive charity. Are you finding that hands-on work is being rebranded as a well-being choice, as well as kind of just going for manual labour or kind of working with your hands?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting question. Mental health is so topical right now. I don't think anyone in the trade would say it's being rebranded as a well-being choice, because at the end of the day, that a role within the trade can come with its own stress and pressure, right? So, we're seeing the threat of tool theft. It's bigger than ever, and also sort of self-employment issues. So there is still, risk factors associated with it. But I would say that trade jobs, they may be perceived as better for like a work-life balance as opposed to a 9 to 5 office job. Now, I do a 9 to 5 office job, and it is hard to switch off sometimes. Whether you're in the office, whether you work from home, you constantly see your setup at home. You might have a phone, and you can be contactable 24/7, essentially. Screen burnout is a real factor for office workers, so I just think from the research that we did, it was a third of young people said that they wanted to avoid long hours at a desk or at a screen, and that therefore they felt that the trade perhaps was considered better for well-being. And I kind of get it. I do sit at a desk every day, and as it goes for industry charities, it's really important to us to give back. So last year we donated £10,000 to Ben. We also worked with the Band of Builders. And mental health is such an important topic. It's something that, we need to lean into, and we need to help and support. So we will continue to support those charities and others this year and beyond.
Brilliant. For anybody who wants to find out more, perhaps about the DX Pulse range, or
Mm-hmm.
even about this research, where can they
Yes.
go to find out a bit more?
Yeah, it's nice and simple. It's just drapertools.com. And from there, you'll find what you need.
Brilliant. We'll include a link in the episode description. But
Thank
Sarah,
you.
no, thank you for joining us today and sharing your insight into this. It's been absolutely fascinating. And as soon as I saw the research published,
Mm.
I knew I wanted to speak to you about it. So No, really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.